He was not a public servant, okay? He was a public villain. People who operate at the behest of legitimately impact the life of hundreds of millions of innocent civilians, we don't think about them as villains. What that man did is basically comic book villain shit. I'm saying it. Anyway, we'll cover that too. Let's get started on smoking on this dipshit pack. Joe Lieberman, giant piece of shit, literally almost single-handedly responsible for not having universal health care in this country. Just now him, honestly.
Joe Lieberman, the former senator and vice presidential candidate.
Joe Lieberman's entire goal in Congress is basically to play the role of spoiler, okay? Famous spoiler guy.
He was known for
the OG spoiler. Like, I mean, he wasn't the OG spoiler, but like he was the spoiler for the Obama administration.
Party line that was still active on the political scene in this election year. Our chief Washington correspondent, John Carl, has more on his life and legacy. Good morning, John.
Good morning, Michael. Joe Lieberman was an American original, a man of faith, a man of principle, a partisan Democrat who turned independent, a man who tried to overcome political differences during our deeply divided time. In 2000, Joe Lieberman came within just a few hundred votes in Florida of becoming the first Jewish vice president in American history. As he accepted the Democratic nomination that year, he vowed to do everything he could to help his party win the White House.
And I want you to know tonight that I will work my heart out to make Al Gore the next president of the United States.
Democrats loved it, but Lieberman was never one to put party first. And just 8 years later, he was once again center stage at a party convention. This time, the Republican convention, endorsing his friend John McCain.
Being a Democrat or a Republican is important, but it is nowhere near as important as being an American.
I hate this piece of shit so goddamn much. Like OG, early Kristen Cinema ass, dumbass motherfucker. Just absolute piece of shit. There was a bot that was trying to get interaction by asking if they should send you news so you won't video game yourself. That's awesome. What has become of the world? What has become of Twitter? Musk is fixing the issue right now. No more pussy in bio. We're going to have community pussy. Ay, ay, ay. Can you be nicer to Connecticut now that one of our demons are gone? By the way, it's pretty funny because, like, you know how I always have the smoke for Connecticut? Like, he's one of the guys. He's one of the reasons why I have the smoke for Connecticut. Him and, what's his face? Is it Chris Murphy or Chris Coons? No, it's Chris Murphy, right? I can't stand this motherfucker. I could not stand this motherfucker. And I can't stand Chris Murphy. Just so annoying. Honest question. I assume pussy in bio actually works on people because why would they do it? Dude, honestly, pussy in bio works against other bots. Like, everything is just fake now. That's what it is. I'm sure this guy went off on Joe Lieberman.
Did do personally. So
yeah. Okay, look, see? Obaba boys got the smoke for Joe. Smoking on the dead ops pack. John Favreau. Shocking. Because remember, these guys are like civility politics guys. Or not John Favreau, John Lovett. Sorry, what am I saying? Favreau is also a part of Crooked Media. These are the Pod Johns. Remember, they were Obama speechwriters. So, of course, they despise Joseph Lieberman for tanking a big chunk of Obama's like signature accomplishments, especially in the form of the ACA. Like, there was a supermajority in the Democratic Party. And of course, Joe Lieberman basically did the classic rotating villain shit and cooked it.
After the public option was killed from Obamacare, there was a compromise proposal. Now, of course, Obamacare is a compromise, and the public option is a compromise. So this was a compromise on a compromise on a compromise. And the compromise was that near seniors, people 55 and older, would be allowed to buy Medicare. I'm sorry for going to the details, but to me, this is one of the most galling and despicable things a person's ever done.
I suspect Lovett made this a while back, for the record. I suspect that this is old and it's being resurfaced now because, like, Didn't you do an episode on the old pod with him? Yeah. I think that this is an older, John Lovett did this back in the day probably, and it's being resurfaced now. Hasan made a video with Lovett. Yeah, I did back in 2021.
They're scum, right? But even then, in comparison to what you see on Facebook, it's like, well, at least they're not saying that there are space lasers. And
yeah, I'm tapped in with the Pod Johns. You know, those are my boys. Remember that. Do you think it's possible to get him on the show at some point? Yeah, of course.
Done, and I will repeat this till the day I die. The Medicare buy-in, 55 plus. So what that means is near seniors can buy into a public option. My parents would have loved to have this. They were counting down the days till they were eligible for Medicare because their premiums were going up because they were older, and people that are nearing retirement are sicker and require more medical care than younger people because your bodies are falling apart because of the vicissitudes of evolution, and it really sucks. Not one part of us gets better. And that's the deal. I don't make the rules. I wish I did. It'd be better. They'd be different rules. I don't know how much different, but different. The Medicare buy-in is exactly the kind of thing that a moderate like Joe Lieberman should support. It was fiscally responsible, it was practical, it solved a problem, it was moral, it was just, it was a compromise, it was something Democrats all agreed with, but he has insurance companies in his state, and so he personally kills it. And when you get rid of the Medicare buy-in, so the Medicare buy-in means that near seniors pay less for insurance. It means younger people that are not near seniors pay less for insurance because you just removed a bunch of older people out of the population of people buying insurance, so insurance premiums on the whole go down. Medicare is more efficient than the private system, so insurance costs for healthcare costs for the whole country go down. Care gets better because Medicare provides excellent care. The only people that pay are the insurance companies. But as a favor to the insurance companies in his state, Joe Lieberman killed the Medicare buy-in himself. He was the 60th vote. If he said yes,
yep, 100%. That's it. That's like, this is the most famous moment for Joe Lieberman's career in a sea of back and forth. Like, I'm an American. I care about America. Like, I'm a compromise guy. That was his signature accomplishment in his life. And honestly, that's just pure evil, even though it doesn't track as pure evil. This is the problem, right? People who operate at the behest of pharmaceutical companies, at the behest of insurance providers that do stuff like this, that legitimately impact the life of millions, hundreds of millions of innocent civilians, never read as villains. We don't think about them as villains. What that man did is basically comic book villain shit, okay? And that's why when there are instances like elderly statesmen getting celebrated by the media for falling on their ass and dying at their old ass age, a beautiful future that they did not offer to millions of Americans as a consequence of their actions at the behest of American corporations, because I'm sure plenty of Americans would love to die in their old age around their family when they fall on their ass, okay, at the age of like 80 or whatever. But they never got there because they never got the health care because we don't have free health care in this country. Fuck that guy. Actual villain.
it would have been in there. And every person in this room is paying more for healthcare because of Joe Lieberman. And so the idea that Joe Lieberman is to come in and lecture us what's good for working families and good for the Democratic Party, he can go f himself. Joe,
like, that's it. He's right. That way he literally fell and died. Dude, fuck him, Lamau, that owns. That's what I heard. I don't know. I heard he fell and died from NPR, and I don't think NPR is lying to me. It's because his villainy has been alienated and safely separated from the actual harm to the point that he appears civil instead of him using a pen to kill millions of people. Imagine if someone did that physically, like used the pen as a weapon. Much more gruesome and easy to comprehend. No, because our system is designed to churn out these results, and because of the division of labor in every aspect of our existence, it doesn't track as like a singular person being evil. But that is exactly what it is. And it's not even like a singular person. There's a lot of people that are also just as evil. But it's like kind of crazy to think about, because like this guy's got bodies, but we don't ever think about it like that. We don't think about like this guy having bodies, okay, to his name. I don't know. Joe Lieberman is the failure of liberalism. You cannot talk about Joe Lieberman without talking about liberalism's many different glaring, obvious failures. Joe Lieberman is a deity, is yet another great figure of the rotating villain that is embedded in the Democratic Party. It is inside of their infrastructure that the Democratic Party basically relies on. Okay, and the reality is that we need that. We need the Joe Liebermans. Like the Democrats need the Joe Liebermans. They have to have their own internal villains, so they don't just shit on the Republican Party. God forbid. They have to make it easier for the Republicans to win stuff. And yeah, Joe Lieberman, Kirsten Sinema, Joe Manchin. Here's my warning to all the up and comer rotating villain Democrats out there, like that sexy mechanic lady from what's his face from, I think she was from Colorado with the tattoos, like the alt chick, the John Fettermans. She's not even a mechanic. She owns a auto shop. What the fuck was her name? Anyway, you'll know more about her in the future. Yeah, thank you, Marie Gluesenkamp Perez, the Problem Solvers Caucus, John Fetterman. Okay, let me tell you, she's not from Colorado. She's from Washington. Okay, you will be remembered in infamy, but not in a good way, but exactly in the same way that we're shitting on Joe Lieberman. Okay, many of you think you'll make a name for yourselves and you'll live comfortably, and you know that you will be remembered fondly. You will not be remembered fondly. We will shit on your graves once you are long gone for all of the crimes, for all of the villainous behavior that you subjected the American population to, you subjected the global population to. We will remember them and we'll shit on you. You will not be remembered fondly. So if that's all you care about, and many of these dipshits are self-interested and they do care about that, if you don't want to have a graveyard soaked in piss, then figure it out. Get your shit together. Okay?
Lieberman says in this that Joe Crowley's reelection would be evidence that Democrats are capable of governing again. You. We are the only governing party this country has had, and the problem with the sleazy people like Joe Lieberman who do no labels and all that bullshit is they look at our politics right now and they would rather say that both parties are to blame than admit the truth, which is we have one party that's lost its mind.
Depending on which way our politics sway in the next 30 years, they may be seen as heroes. Not really. They're still like seen as partisan by the Republicans who will say like, oh, well, he was a Democrat, so he's like a baby-eating vampire. It's just like the Democratic Party itself will most likely not hail them as heroes because their job is to be a ruiner of the agenda. Is Fetterman on the same level? I thought he was less a roadblock for legislation and more a genocide pervert. Yeah, he is. I mean, look at his attitude on immigration and shit. You know what I mean?
McCain later said he came close to picking Lieberman to be his running mate. Joe Lieberman served 24 years in the Senate, representing his home state of Connecticut. He was a progressive on most domestic issues and a hawk on foreign policy, a strong supporter of both wars in Iraq. He was a deeply religious man, the oldest of 3 children in an Orthodox Jewish family. He was one of the first prominent Democrats to denounce Bill Clinton's behavior after his affair with White House intern Monica Lewinsky was revealed.
Such behavior is not just inappropriate. It is immoral, and it is harmful.
President Clinton called him after that speech and told him he agreed with every word. But it was Lieberman's support of the second Iraq war that infuriated Democrats.
This is a battle in the war on terrorism. Failure and defeat is not an option.
Lieberman ran for president as a Democrat in 2004 in a campaign that never really got off the ground. And when he ran for his 4th Senate term in 2006, he lost the Democratic primary. Undeterred, he ran for re-election anyway and won decisively as an independent. He retired from the Senate in 2012 but remained active in politics, supporting both Hillary Clinton and Joe Biden in their campaigns against Donald Trump. But this time, he has helped lead the effort by No Labels, a group he co-founded to run a bipartisan third-party ticket to take on both Trump and Biden. In an interview just last week, appearing a little weaker, but his conviction as strong as ever, he made the case for a bipartisan presidential ticket.
We'll begin to solve our problems, and we'll stop fighting each other all the time, which is what the
Republicans and Democrats.
Yeah, we got to
now.
stop fighting each other all the time and just fight more Muslims. Ghoul, bro. Sucks dick and ass. Here.
Iraq.
Joe Lieberman was a public servant who clearly cared about America and cared about his family and friends. If we're assessing legacies, however, like, Mehdi doesn't, you don't have to suck his cock, man. You don't work at MSNBC anymore, okay? I just hate this, like, civility bullshit. He, like, literally has to do that. Oh, he cared about Americans. It's like, no, he was not a public servant, okay? He was a public villain. F that guy. Like, actual piece of shit. Ugh. Anyway, yeah, here. No remorse for the Iraq war by this ghoul.
I got to ask you about Iraq. We just saw the 20th anniversary of 9/11, the end of the Afghan war. You have someone like Chris Murphy now representing Connecticut that you sat in for the Senate. He's very critical of the Iraq war. Have you disowned it? You know, as recently as 2015, 2016, you were still saying you thought it was.
Yeah, someone like Chris Murphy is very critical of the Iraq war because it's now allowed and appropriate to say that the Iraq war was bad, even though it is objectively bad and was objectively bad, right? But like Chris Murphy also is like talking about doing coups, talking about Venezuela, talking about America interfering in the affairs of other countries all around the world. Okay, Chris Murphy, I'm sure he's the type of dude who's not very upset about what's going on in Gaza, for example. Okay, so the notion that like he's somehow different is silly. This guy is just an extra piece of shit. He's an old school piece of shit who's still maintained his piece of shit attitude when all the other people that were like champions of the Iraq war in the same way that Lieberman was recognize that like that's no longer in fashion, and therefore you have to retriangulate and act like you were never fully on board with it. You know? What is this?
Stunned by her election night victory over longtime
Lieberman urges voters to back Crowley over Ocasio-Cortez. Another L for that pathetic loser.
Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez is stunned again by a scorching attack from Senator Joe Lieberman, proving becoming the it girl of New York politics has its ups and downs. Lieberman, using an op-ed piece in the Wall Street Journal, says Ocasio-Cortez is likely to hurt Congress, would make it harder for Congress to stop fighting and start fixing problems, and is more socialist and democratic.
When you look at the policies, those are not policies that will be supported in very many places across America.
Lieberman, appealing to the residents of the 14th Congressional District to vote for Crowley in November on the Working Families Party line, is also critical of her foreign policy views. She upset many during an interview last week when she called Israel an occupation force over the Palestinian territories.
I also think that what people...
Yeah. Tim Pool said you had a mental breakdown on your loss of viewership. Yeah, dude, it's right. I did. I'm having a mental breakdown from my loss of viewership, even though my viewership is like maintained stability this entire time. I'm losing my mind. Thank you. You're right. What happened to these people that used to be like, yeah, I don't believe anything that Tim Pool says, but now that like he's in agreement with Destiny, that you're like, you guys are both on board? What's happening? Tim Pool is so obsessed with their viewership, he made a whole ass YouTube video on it. Yeah. Part of the reason why my viewership has gone down is because of October 7. I'm sorry. A lot of people in the liberal circles love dick riding Israel. Okay. You know, that's it. Not true. You used to average 30K. I think the emotional, mental health aspect of it is this, though, because like I literally have the most autistic fan base of all time, and they literally have debate autism, right? Everybody has like different degrees of autism in the fandom. Some people love trains, some people love politics, but everybody has debate autism, and they literally cannot stop themselves like physically from immediately being like, not true, like no matter what I say. And after a while, it just gets really annoying that I have to deal with like contentious ass motherfuckers nonstop. Just talk about trains, man. Anyway, my point is, post October 7, like a big chunk of this community left and never to return. That of course makes me sad because it's not about like, oh man, people don't like me anymore. That's who gives a shit. It makes me sad about the state of affairs as far as like the progressive left, as far as like leftists and their opinions. So that's what it is. It is, of course, going to be frustrating to go from 30K to 20K, especially because of an issue that is very important to me, an issue that I have been talking about for years and years, right? And that's it. That's what makes me sad about it. It also makes me sad because that was also like 6 months ago. Why would they bring it up now? Well, because people are just like desperately looking for new angles and like drama. It's so funny because you're big in relation even when you're falling off, so you still surpass them all. You've fallen off. What are they? Yeah, I mean, no, Tim Pool has a bigger audience than me for sure. He's always had a bigger audience than me. I remember my ex, who's never watched you, was telling me to stop watching your content because you have bad takes. And when I asked them what those takes were, they couldn't answer. Yeah. Do you think liberals who left will eventually realize your position on ad breaks is and was correct? God damn, dude, you cooked. One hot issue undid years of work. Anyone would feel shitty. Yeah, it just makes me feel like a lot of people's allegiance to progressive politics is like totally conditional, and they do have like very reactionary approaches ultimately that end up swaying them like in a totally different direction. And that kind of sucks because like everything that I do specifically so I can like get people to recognize the error in their thinking. Psychedelic Gazelle, thank you for the 20 tier 1 gift of subs. By the way, here's a 3-minute ad break now. It sucks to see that. That's just, there's no other way to explain it. Like, yeah, it doesn't feel good. You know what I mean? Why would it feel good? Of course it doesn't feel good. I'm not like dying or anything, but it is weird because like, I think what is really shitty is not necessarily like losing a third of your audience because of your opinion on, Israel's active genocide campaign. What also feels shitty is like everyone literally making content out of me talking to my own community about how annoying they are about politics and robbing it of that context and then speculating on my behalf while I'm not even live or online, having a great goddamn time, completely oblivious to this reality. So then when people check in with me in the real world, they're like, bro, are you okay? Like, I saw some shit. People are talking about how you're going to kill yourself. And it's like, bro, what the I didn't even know. I didn't even know. And no, I'm more mad about my community being like, I only want politics, which is something that everyone would objectively agree to in the broader sphere if it wasn't me saying it. So that's what it is. Like that rant, that whole rant that I had in my Discord was about that, was about the fact that like there are a lot of annoying motherfuckers out here who only talk about politics and only want politics. That's it. You're like the lady that took a flight and landed infamous. Yeah. It might also be the H3 audience leaving. I mean, I'm sure that plays a role in it too, but still. But it does blow my mind. What? Damn, my bridge request was ill-timed then? What do you mean? Just to add in, it wasn't just October 7. Political content as a whole is down. Your sub count hasn't gone down massively either, which is why I think people in general are busier. Yeah, that's the other thing. Like, I see this a lot. Like, I think my audience is getting older. You know what I mean? They were younger. They didn't have jobs. They were in college. And now they have jobs and they're no longer in college. So they still support, but they don't watch as much live, which is fine. I mean, it happens. That part is not a contentious aspect of this at all, right? What is actually shocking is the fact that, like I said time and time again, this is about Twitter. This conversation always devolves around or always revolves around Twitter. What do I mean by this? On Twitter, people literally took 3 days ago on Discord. I was complaining about how much Discord loves politics. Like the heart of this community loves politics and nothing else. And they are like antagonistic towards like anything that's not immediately political, which is something that every human being that is not in my Discord would agree with, right? Most of those Twitter losers would agree with that. They'd be like, yeah, don't make everything political. That was what the rant was. And I was like responding to people, including like some of the people who were like saying, hey, I have a really good idea for content. You should do a scuba diving stream with a heart monitor, which is what I had done. And they did not watch. So I was like, I'm going to kill myself as a joke. Like I wasn't being serious. But they took all of that out of context and posted it and did not post the rant about the rant that started it all, which was like, you guys love politics and you are making normies go insane. Like you're like normie repellent, right? Like why the are you so incredibly brain broken about politics? You are behaving like normie repellent. Like we have a project where we want to be normal and we want to present leftist politics as a normal thing. All of that, of course, not in the clips. Okay, not in the clips at all. Then they presented it in a way where it was like, oh, Hasan wants to kill himself because he's like losing viewership. And it went super viral. And I had no idea. I had no idea whatsoever. You want to know why? Because I don't have Twitter on my phone and because I wasn't online. Okay, I wasn't online. So I had no clue that this was going on. And I started getting messages. I started getting messages from like Mike Malak, and you know, like random friends of mine that are on Twitter, but like are normies otherwise, being like, "Hey, bro, is everything all right?" And I'm like, "What the fuck? What's going on? Did you actually fall off after October 7th?" No, it's dumb as my fall off is still 20K. That's insane. I'm still one of the biggest content creators on this goddamn platform. People are so stupid for saying this. It's like people who, here, I'll tell you this much. People who are always like, Hasan is falling off, are the same people that would literally lose their minds if they got the normal viewership that I get. And it's so sad because like those are the same people who are desperately trying to farm clout while I'm offline to be like, yeah, he's falling off, guys. I'm falling on though. Try falling on, dude. Look, I'll keep it $150. Like Mr. Bonarelli, if he got 20K consistently, his audience would be so unbearable. You know what I mean? His audience would be unfucking bearable. They'd constantly be like, dude, we're killing it. We're killing it. Hasan is dying. Hasan is dying. Our boy is on top. Mr. Barilla, I don't know what his stats look like, okay? Because I'm not as obsessed with him as he is with me. He apparently looks at my stats every day and loses his goddamn mind. I have lost a third of this community after October 7th because of my Israel takes. That motherfucker doesn't even have a third of that. So I don't know what we're talking about. Like, he would be excited to literally have the entire chunk of just my community that is left. So I don't know why he's like talking about falling off and falling on all the goddamn time. You know what I mean? It just doesn't make any sense. But I feel like they just have created this universe in their minds. Don't you also think this Hater Power Hour recurrent segment is also driving people away? Brother, there were people who reached out to me because they thought I was committing suicide. I think it's okay to address that, Comrade Liho, especially because you are literally one of those dipshits that I'm talking about. Like, you are literally the issue. Stop trying to debate me. This is what I'm saying. You don't have to debate everything. You're like, your lowest views is the highest ever. Yeah, it's a multitude of different things. Most boring election cycle of all time. People genuinely hating like the Israel-Palestine takes or the coverage in general. But who gives a shit? I never did the monkey man. It does turn me off though. I know. Anyway. All right. Longest election cycle, Trump been running for 4 years law. To be honest, your feelings make a lot of sense. You deal with a very gaslighty group of people. Yeah, my point wasn't even about like Mr. Bonnaroo or anything like that. My point more so is that like on Twitter, someone could be like, Hasan is having a bad day today. And people want to believe that. So they just like upvote it. They like it. And they go, yeah, he is. And I don't even know it is not the truth. And I don't even know that that is what's going on. And then I wake up to like people being like, dude, I heard you're having a really bad time. And it's like, what? No, I'm not. I'm having a really good time because I'm not online. But when you're not online, I think when you're not online, people just like think that you're dead or they can just like make shit up about you. And there's a ton of people who are looking into believing that. And I don't know how to defend myself that I'm like actually having a good time. It's such a weird thing to do. I think people would just rather believe the lies than know what the truth is. You know what I mean? A lot of people don't realize how often you get in drama, not even by your own violations. And then you discover you were in a drama, then you actually get in a shitty mood because of it. Yeah, but I didn't even realize like Tim Pool is like doing videos about how I'm spiraling or whatever. Like, that's crazy. That's a crazy situation. Like, it's literally a Discord. It is straight up a Discord rant clipped out of context that has made people make videos about how I'm like losing it or some shit.
Who do you think is the most evil member?
I kind of want to see it now. All the worst people eating, but there's nothing I can do about it. You know what I mean? There's like, it's such a funny thing to get Hasan Piker viewers plummets. Bro has a 5-person panel for this. Dude. Okay, this is kind of awesome. Dude, come on, bro. They're doing like analysis with 5 people. Hasan Piker viewership dropping off a cliff, down 40% in 1 month. This is not true. I think for the amount of people who try to debate you have a 2% debate rate or lower. They have like graphs and shit. I would love to fall off the way you do Hasan Lamau. Yeah, this is crazy that they're doing like, why is this commentary for a socialist? Hasan Piker sure loves money. I'm shocked that he even had an audience to begin with. Nothing he says makes sense. His 12-year-old fans turned 13 and realized being a weetard isn't cool anymore. Bro, you wrote weetard. What? Like, you should be euthanized. What is happening? Like, just write it with the R at that point. Like, what is this? Is this 2008? What the f? That's so stupid. You literally medically are in need of a lobotomy, like immediately. Okay. I think the fact that you had a great day yesterday without hearing about all this nonsense supports the point that your hater power hour comment. In my opinion, the best way to deal with haters online or offline is that don't give them the space. The best revenge is living well. Yeah, dude. There's nothing funnier than people being like, hey, this guy who has 50,000 subscribers, 50,000 $5 a month paying subscribers is actually doing really poorly. He's also a fake socialist because he's so rich. None of this makes sense. So which one is it? Am I popping off and therefore fake socialist? Or am I falling off and therefore real socialist? Which is it? Remember, none of this makes sense. It doesn't. The sub count grab. Anyway. Yeah, Tim Pool dropped from 60K to 30 to 40K and they all defend Crowder. Exactly. Like everyone in the political sphere has like lost a big chunk of their audiences for sure because most people just don't care. Trust fund baby ain't got no spine. See, this is what I mean. You're just like randomly yelling at things that are not true. Like this is exactly what I mean. Like this 100 like none of this is correct. And it also doesn't even fit here. Like, bro, you do that all the time? What do you mean I do that all the time? What does that mean? I'm a trust fund baby that ain't got no spine all the time? Is that what you're saying? Like, none of this makes sense. At a certain point, a lot of people need to understand that you're just angrily reacting to things and it doesn't make sense. You give them the attention, they'll never stop. You ever analyze your fame increase even if you knew how to skateboard? This is true. Anyway, did you see Scumart's last post? Yeah, I did not see it because I did not have Twitter, but Alexa showed it to me. I remember someone on Reddit saying your dad was a billionaire and he was 100% serious. Have Maya teach you how to kickflip. Anyway, the title is dumb too because I feel like most Gen Z lean left more Lamau. Yeah, all right. What is this? It's never been more over for Anna Kasparian. Oh, what? There ain't no way. Is this real? Oh no, bro, there's only one unifying factor here. There's no way that's real. No, this has got to be a fake tweet. I don't believe that. I don't believe that at all. These guys always make fake ass tweets about Elon Musk. It's starting to piss me off because like it's just like Elon Musk is such a dumbass in and of itself that like when I see stuff like that, it's just like is he actually that much of a dumbass? I don't know. Anyway, let's get back to Joe Lieberman. Let's finish off the Joe Lieberman shit. Like I said, a total piece of shit, a monster, Obama-era rotating villain. He died after falling in his home surrounded by his family. He spent his life warmongering and stopping Americans from having universal health care. Absolute piece of shit and a staple of the Democratic Party. Anyway, Hasan, you didn't know, but Anna really turned right. I know, she like unfollowed me and stuff and I think doesn't like me anymore. 20K more viewers are looking like this. Bro, come on. Do you just hate all old people? No, just like evil old people. I think you misunderstand. Oh yeah, keep doing that. Like Joe Lieberman is just like an evil piece of shit. He's a uniquely bad guy. Don't make fun of him. It's grown a lot under that hat since 2017. I think you just hate old people. Bro, what do you mean? I'm an old person. My entire community is old. Also, you know who actually hates old people? Joe Lieberman. Because guess what, dude? He worked tirelessly to deny them health care. Hello? What are we talking about? Let me tell you who actually despises old people. A guy who worked tirelessly to ensure that they don't get the most comprehensive health coverage. Like, what the fuck? Who do you think hates old people more? Anyway, I can understand why you think I just have like a natural anti-old person position though, because like a lot of people that do live to be old and get fame are kind of evil under capitalism. So you do basically see me shit on old people that recently died all the time, because a lot of those guys who get like positive media coverage are unfortunately getting positive media coverage because they're evil. That's it.